everyone, my name is Sophie and today I'm here to talk about the books I read in September. Okay, so I know it's like the 23rd of October, but I didn't get to film a September wrap-up because I was very busy, and I have a lot of stuff to say about the books I read in September, so I want to just get right into it. First, I want to start with some stats. I read 10 books in September, which went for a total of 3,560 pages. My most read genre was horror, which, I mean, I've never read horror before in my life, which is really interesting. My average rating was 3.9. I did an average 3 days per book, but how fast I read them. And my most read age group was adult, and my favorite was, well, you'll see later. So, the first book I read in September was Only Human, the conclusion of the, Sleeping Giants or Themis Files trilogy by Sylvain Neuvel. It's a sci-fi trilogy and I didn't like the ending, unfortunately. I think I gave it, so I didn't enjoy it much. I really liked book 1, I loved book 2, but then book 3 didn't have my favorite characters. It had a lot of characters I really didn't enjoy. I don't like alien plot lines. I don't know why I picked up the series, but I really like the first 2 books. I don't like aliens in general most of the times, and I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It was an underwhelming conclusion to the trilogy. Next thing I read was 2 books in the same duology. The first one is called Small Spaces, and the next one Dead Voices, and they're both by Katherine Arden, the writer of The Bear and the Nightingale, that fantasy Russian series, but this one is middle grade and it's kind of horror but like for children, and it's really nice. I gave the first book 3.75 and the second book 4.25, and just overall they were really fun to read. I really like the characters, I really like the plot, I really like everything. They're just super fun, and book 2 was way better than book 1. It was great, had, in my opinion, a way more interesting plot and the character dynamics, and even though it's a middle grade, I don't know, it's good, and it's good. I wouldn't say it's good horror, but it's a good spooky book for October, for the Halloween season. Next book I read, I actually own, thank God. That's why I didn't want to do a wrap up for August, because like I owned 4 out of the 15 books I read. So yeah, I'm doing this one, and it's Heartstopper Volume 2. It's Volume 2, right? By Oseman, and this is a graphic novel telling the stories of these 2 high school boys falling in love. So I love this. I love this. I'm obsessed. I keep up with the webcomic every week because it's just so amazing and they warm my heart so much. I give this 4.5 stars. I love it to death, but I just didn't give it 5 because I don't think it has, 1, that emotional punch, and 2, that, I don't know, it didn't really impact me, you know, or change anything. Just a really fun and good story, and for that I gave it 4.5 stars because it was super cute. The drawings are really pretty and I love them so much. Next book I read was, it was a short story by Mira, which is the pseudonym, right, of Shannon Maguire, the author of the Wayward children's series and Middle Game, and with her pen name Mira, and I liked it. It's weird. It's like a horror short story about this house and mermaids, and it's kind of weird, but not really mermaids, but like weird stuff going on in this house, and I liked it. I don't have much to say about it other than that I didn't like the direction. I didn't really love the direction the plot took, but I quite liked but I also did. Like, I didn't like how the characters ended up, but I liked the way the plot went. So yeah, it's really confusing. Mira Grant wrote a book called Into the Drowning Deep. That's one of my favorites of this year and ever, so I really wanted to read this, and it was good. That's all I have to say. Next book I read was Black Prism by Brent, book 1 of the Lightbringer series. The last book just came out, and I wanted to start this series before it's a thick boy, and like, I liked it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and it's weird, okay? My relationship with this book is weird, because on one hand, I love Kip to death. I love this boy. Like, I don't know if it's because he's my age, and I really, like, relate to his insecurities and feelings of not being enough, and I think I can really empathize with him. I love him, but there are two things that I hated that really put this book back for me in terms of enjoyment. And I hated the sexism in this book because, like, it's really sexist. I should have annotated it. I didn't, but I should have annotated it because it's so fucking sexist. Like, mentioning women's boobs and bodies every single time, relating to, and beauty relating to their worth as people in a really weird way. And I hated Gavin, the prism thing. I fucking hate that guy. Like, you kind of get it if you read the book, but, like, I thought there were some things that the book just glossed over in regards to Gavin that I really hated. And I don't know, the magic system is amazing. Kip is the light of my life, but, like, did we really have to be the sexist and have that fucking protagonist? Sure, Gavin's interesting, but he's also a dick. So that's my thoughts on that. The next book I read was another high fantasy, but this one is a debut, which is so exciting. And it is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I 100% picked this up on the recommendation of Daniel Green, a very popular fantasy YouTuber. And I mean, I loved it. It's so good. Like, it's so good. Like, the opening scene, it's a battle, and it's, like, so good. Weirdly, because, like, I was flipping the pages, like, I don't understand shit, but I'm loving it. And was pretty much me of the whole book. Like, there's a glossary at the end, which really helped because, like, this book is so confusing. Like, it throws a bunch of terms at you, and terms that, like, look on the page alike. So you're just like, wasn't that other thing? But no, this is this thing. And it's so confusing, but it's such a wild ride. And it's got, like, if you've read Stormlight Archive, it's got a tinge of that Bridge 4 feeling, which I really enjoy, but it's not on the level of Bridge 4, but it's that pinch of, ooh, Bridge 4. This group of guys on the same war battalion who really care for each other, and it's great. But not all of them. And one thing I really appreciated about this book was that, like, you can say, oh, this character's flawed, but this motherfucker, Tao, I think his name is Tao, what the fuck, call him Tao, that's how you say it in Portuguese. So, this motherfucker, Tao, he's the most flawed protagonist I've ever read about. Like, you still root for him, but you see, like, dude, get some help, dude. That's not the road. That's not the way to, like, do what you want to do or be better. And it's a revenge story, but it's, like, so fucking insane. Like, wow. Like, he's one of the most flawed characters I've ever read about, and it's, oh my god, I'm just awestruck about how this is a debut and how well written this is, and also how brutal this is, but brutal in a good way. And this is African-inspired fantasy. The author is also black, so that's a plus. And it has a lot of interesting themes about war and, like, this, I don't know, I can't say much about it other than I fucking loved it. But I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars because it didn't impact me emotionally, which is what I need to give a book 5 stars. Like, I need to hold it after and be like, oh my god, I love you so much. No, this book I finished was like, holy fuck, that was really good. But not, like, emotional attachment to it. But it is really good. And I think that kind of emotional attachment varies from person to person. It's not a quantifiable thing. So that's why I read books based on my enjoyment. So, like, don't not pick it up because of that. Or any books that I say because of that, just because I didn't have an emotional connection, because that's so, like, relative. Anybody can have an emotional connection to anything. So my next and favorite book of September is Dark Descent of Elizabeth, Frankenstein by Kiersten White. So I've read And I Darken by her, and I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, I enjoyed it. And I bought this in 2018. I read like 70 pages, wasn't feeling it, put it down. Now, a year later, picked this up, like, because I don't even know. I think Read with Cindy, like, reviewed it and liked it. So I was like, well, it's short, right? I might as well just go through it. And I loved it. I loved it. Sure, it could have used a little bit more of, not development, but like we could have used a little bit more time with it, like a little bit more descriptions. And I loved about the descriptions. I loved how they were the descriptions of things and places. They were more about how they made Elizabeth feel than how they were actually are, and I loved it.
I annotated it a lot. I loved it a lot. Like, there were like pages and pages of me just writing stuff about how something is so interesting, how the characters were so well done, and things I noticed and things I loved. And oh my god, I just love this book so much. It's amazing. It's so interesting, so well done, and I loved it. Oh my god, like look at this page. Just a lot of things written.
This book is just great, and I love it. And I mean, it's not for everybody, that's for sure, but it really was for me, and I just appreciated it so much. And I don't wish I'd picked it up sooner, because I don't think I would have enjoyed this much and gotten this much out of it if I'd read it last year. No? Next book I read is City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is by the author of Foundryside, a very popular book from last year, I believe, either last year or this year. And it's like a geopolitical fantasy with like the gods have disappeared and now everything's crumbling, and but also there are a few magic elements back. So what the fuck is up with that? And it's so good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, which means that I really enjoyed it. Didn't have an emotional punch. Don't think it's the best thing ever, but it's really, really good. And I annotated it, and you see how many tabs I have. And I really enjoyed it. It's like, it's unexpectedly English, political and geopolitical, and it's a lot about the relationship between these 2 countries and the gods with the people, and it's so good. Like, Robert Jackson Bennett, he has this kind of story that he's good at, like the story that I know of, the story where there's this very intricate magic system, but the gods have all disappeared, and what the fuck do we do? And it's really, like, with Foundryside, another book that he's loved, it's up there. It's so good. Last book I read in September is a disappointment, and it's like one of my most anticipated books of 2019. So yeah, that's a bummer, and it is, shit, I almost fell. I'm sitting on a stack of books. Wayward Son by Rowell, the sequel to Carry On. I drew the cover of Carry On and put it on my wall, and I have the announcement poster of Carry On my wall, and this book is a fucking disappointment. Oh my god, wait, let me talk about it just for a second. Okay, so, this book had a lot of promise. Like, Carry On is the story of the Chosen One, and how like, he's a terrible chosen one is a play on Harry Potter and the Chosen One trope, and it's amazing. I love it. One of my favorite books ever. Now, Carry On is supposed to be the life after you defeat the bad guy, right? What happens? How do you deal with that trauma? How do you deal with that, like, feeling of, what am I made for now? What's my purpose? And all that stuff, and depression. And I thought, oh my god, it's gonna be really good. Like, in my head, Simon's gonna start out really fucking depressed. Bitch, I get that. And they're gonna go on a road trip to America, which is the plot of the book, to see their friend Agatha. And he's gonna, like, find joy in life again, right? And go on adventures with his boyfriend and her friend, and his friend, right? I thought that was gonna be it. But, like, all that inner character angst that we have after such a traumatic event, such as defeating the bad guy, it stays there, and there's no, not only resolution, which, fine, people don't get fixed from depression that easily. I've had depression for like 6 years, but they don't even talk. Oh my god, Baz and Simon's relationship, right? It's supposed to be a funny romantic road trip, but they barely fucking talk. It's just like one fighting for the other and thinking the other doesn't want to be with them, but they don't fucking talk. And the one scene, they're prepared to talk to each other, to like try figure out where they are in their life and in their relationship. What? We're interrupted because of a plot point to set up future books. Like, fuck you. You're gonna give me all that, like, character angst and character, like, problems, and not give any resolution. And not even a resolution, a conversation. him trying to figure this thing out, him trying to communicate and trying to get better. No, just jack shit. And it made me so fucking angry. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars because while I did enjoy it, I had a lot of fucking problems. Like, I really did enjoy not the road trip necessarily, but like the overall plot. I had fun, but this book, look at how short this is. Carry On is like 500 plus pages. I read this in 5 hours. It didn't answer any questions. It didn't bring anything new. It was just, let's wallow in our issues and our depression and not do anything about it. Which, I mean, happens in real life. That's what I am doing here. I am procrastinating. But, like, let's get a fucking resolution. It feels like while your plot's arc is complete, the character arc is going and stopped in the middle and just stopped. It didn't keep going. It doesn't have any resolution. The character arcs don't go beautifully like an arc. It goes and it stops halfway. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You want to give this to me and act like it's finished? It's not. And all of that just to set up a future book. Okay, fuck you. So, we didn't end up on such a great note. But these are the books I read in September. My name's Sophia. Don't forget to subscribe, or don't if you don't want to. And bye!